everybody to the next instalment of Printing in the Kitchen. Today we're going to do some etching, and as in all our printmaking, we're just going to be using materials and equipment that you find around the home or easily available at the grocery store or the hardware store. Before we start, we're going to recap on the design process. Now, our theme for this one was food, so I did first a drawing of something that I enjoy, so a cake for an artist. Then I turned it into a design that would be suitable for etching. So etching is using very, very fine line and lots of them. If you want to do tone, you have to do cross-hatching and then textural details to get that depth of colour. Another drawing, just simple basic, again, using the cross-hatching to do the tone work. Okay, so once you have your design, you need to draw it onto your piece of plastic. Now the plastic can be found in a lot of different places around the home. These ones, the ones that I've started with and used myself, are just from an old folder. It was broken anyway, so I took the cover off and I've used that. The trick is, the shinier and smoother it is, the better you will have it and better the print will be. If it's a bit textured, it will collect the paint. Right, you draw your design on. I just need to remind you though that when you do print, your image will come out in reverse. So if you're doing something like art or words or any sort, just be very careful to make sure your image is done in reverse, so it's in the mirror image. Once you have your design drawn on, you need something really sharp to be able to scratch the image into the plastic. So you scratch it in so it's as deep as you can get it without actually going through the plastic. Okay, so you need to scratch that whole image here. I've pretty near finished this one and I'll be ready to print. So you can't see it terribly well, but that is quite well scratched into there. This is my image to print. Have it ready, and then it's time to get your area ready to set up so that everything is prepared and you don't have to go and find anything halfway through. The trick is you need to do things quite quickly. So, your area. You need lots of paper. Different sorts, different colours. I'm going to print on some tissue paper, some collage. I have a photograph that I've rigged up so it's ready to print and the image can go on top of it. I'm starting with white paper simply because that will give me a fair indication of what it will look like. So your paper's ready. You need paint or colours of some sort, so acrylic paint is usually the best. House paint does work. If you don't have paint, you could use food colouring. The thinner stuff doesn't work as well. I mix it with a little bit of glue and it works better. But the ones that you can get that do line work on cakes and things, that works really well. If you don't have that, you could have watercolour pencils. They work really well by just scribbling over your line work and using it that way. I'll show you that in a little while. So you need your colours to work with set up. You need a bucket half full of water because your paper needs to be wet. You need a good stack of paper to wipe down with, or old rags if you like, but I've just used the paper. Lots of newspaper under your area. This is messy, so old clothing, make sure that's all prepared as well. You're going to make a mess whether you like it or not. You can use gloves to do the rubbing and keep your hands a little bit cleaner. I prefer to do it with my fingers and feel my way along. Spare rags and cleaning water, so if you have a spillage you've got it ready. And a rubbish bin. Very important to have a rubbish bin close handy. Right, got our whole area set up, we're ready to print. First thing we do is get our paper, run it through the water so that you keep it flat, let it drip off a little bit, put it down on the side so that again it's flat, and just leave it as you're doing the rest of it so that it can dry out and soak through. We don't want it dripping wet, we want it to be just nicely moist over the whole thing. I do have a spray bottle so that if that dries out a little bit too much, you can give it a quick spray and make it better. Your paint. I'm going to use the acrylic paint for this demonstration and just black for our first one. You don't need to use a huge amount of paint, which is probably a good thing because I don't have a huge amount of paint left. You just squeeze a little bit onto your paper or whatever you have ready and just rub it just into where all the lines are. The quicker you work, the better it will be. You want to do this all before the the paint dries onto your plastic. Keep going till all of those cracks are done and filled and white through. You can scrape it over and round, and a bit like finger painting really. Still going all over the whole image. You can use different colours when you are printing this. I have got colours here, and my next few prints on the different types of paper will be in different colour, with coloured paint or pencil. One thing I think I did forget to mention earlier is that the implement for scratching is a compass, and very, very sharp pointy, but a nail will do just as well, or a metal skewer, anything that's really sharp to scratch into your plastic when you do. Okay, once it's in there, piece of your paper, wiping paper, and you simply wipe off all the paint from the surface lightly and carefully so that you don't actually wipe it from out of the scratches. You will need a few bits of paper to do this, and you'll find paint will go everywhere, but that's all good, that's what we do. Okay, so I'm wiping quite lightly. I'm not actually scrubbing it out of those scratches, I'm wiping it round so that it comes off of the surface but not out of those scratches. That will be done. Sometimes it's really nice to actually leave a few smudges and a bit of tonal work when you're doing this, but for this one, this demonstration, we'll polish it up, get all the excess paint off. You can soon see where there's pieces left over. The idea of this is experiment. You don't just do one, so once you finish one, you do lots. You print on all your different colours, try all different sorts of paper. Now, my paper here that is wet is still a bit too moist to use. Again, experimentation will give you the experience to know just how wet or dry it needs to be. But we don't want it dripping, we just want it moist all over. Keep in mind, you've got body fingers, you will do marks on there if you're not careful. Okay. Just very carefully place your image on. Then, a spoon, kitchen spoon, or if you're really keen your fingernail, but kitchen spoon, and you have to press quite hard to force the ink, the dye or the paint out of those scratches and onto the paper. Let's have a look. Yeah, it's going pretty well. I can do a little bit more here. And the edges. A little bit more on the face yet too. Keep going. Okay, there's my image. Yeah. Now I will continue on and print a whole heap of different things. Before I do, I'll show you that the way you do this, if you want to use the watercolour pencils, it's the same trick. You just go over the lines, get your paint so it's in there, and then polish it just really lightly to get the excess off. Wet paper, print that same way with your spoon, and you will have your image using watercolour pencils as well. It's all really easy. You can have lots of fun, just try lots of different things and use this as an experimentation. When you're done, I've done a few before, you can use your etching block again if you wash it out. You can re-scratch it if you want to, if you find it's getting a little bit dull, but There's lots of different images here. That's the one using the watercolour pencils. I've tried different colours, different paper, and I'm going to cut some of these up and reassemble them. I'm going to use this one and put paint and draw into it so it's more, so you present it later so that it makes a finished artwork, hopefully adding meaning. So I will do images and other faces and things in these to add meaning to it. Okay, thank you for your time. Good luck with your printing, and we'll see you for the next one, which will be screen printing. Thank you.